Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host this evening, Logan Landers, and join me on this fabulous Wednesday to talk about the 2021 Colorado Buffaloes team preview is my man, Jay McLovin. What's up, Jay?
Hey, doing well. Ready to talk some Colorado Buffaloes.
What can I do for
Yes,
you?
sir. The Buffaloes coming out of the Pac-12. They only played in 6 games last year, so they're hoping to get a few more this year. And, man, they got a decent program. We're going to be talking about it in just a sec. But be sure if you guys enjoy the content we're talking about here today, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Whether you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitch, it means the world to us. Also, please, if you haven't already, go check out our podcast available on anywhere you listen to your podcast, like Spotify, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio. You name it, we are over there. And that was brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network. We've been rocking with them for pretty much almost a year now coming up on it. So we thank them tremendously for giving us a platform and for getting our podcast out there. We upload daily episodes, anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. We have amazing team previews like the one here today. We have legends interviews, draft profiles, game previews are going to be coming up pretty soon because football season is around the corner. So, hey, we're going to be doing a lot of game previews, man. You're going to be seeing my face, Mr. Football Vince, our whole team. We're going to be doing a bunch of game previews coming up very soon. Hey, it's coming, Jay. It's coming. But let's talk about these Colorado Buffaloes in 2021. What you like about them, man? What you think about this team?
There's a couple of things, right? We'll start off with the offense. First of all, the offense should be fairly good. I think the biggest interesting factor for me is going to be at that quarterback position. You know, Sam Neuer has left and gone to be an Oregon State Beaver, and he was hitting like 55% of his passes and 6 touchdowns. So they lost a really good quarterback to Oregon State. But I do think that Tennessee transfer J.T. Shrout and second-year freshman Brandon Lewis will have a good quarterback competition this year. Mm-hmm. And I love quarterback competitions, Logan. I think competition brings a better style of player because you have something to fight for. That means you're going to try even harder than what you normally would. So there's no comfortability in the quarterback spot this year. There is going to be – I do think that Shrout will be the ultimate quarterback coming out of that competition. But I like to see an open field competition. I think it's going to be amazing. Another thing I like is the running game of Jack Broussard and his 895 yard 5-score season. So they have a decent running game. They got decent quarterbacking. The wide receiver spot, is not bad at all. They got a couple of guys coming back. So all in all, I think the offense is good. I think the defense is going to be quite pretty well as well. We'll do well as well. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things on this team to like. What do you think, Logan?
I think this team, just overall summary, I think they're going to be solid, and I'm expecting this team to be one of the more dominant rushing teams, and not just their conference, but in all of college football. Because like you mentioned, you had Jarek Broussard, who after 2 ACL injuries, mind you, came out of nowhere last year, ran for about 150 yards a game, and won Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year. So absolutely phenomenal story for Broussard getting that award and absolutely have a tremendous season. But he's getting some help because Alex Fontenot is coming back, who missed last year with a hip injury. So that is going to be a dynamic rushing room between those two. I don't know how they're going to split the carries, but I definitely expect this Buffaloes team, like you mentioned, they're going to have a quarterback battle. And usually that could potentially mean that the QB play might not be the best in the world coming into the early weeks of the season at least. So I think they're really going to have to rely heavily on their rushing game to get things going because they've proven in both 2019 and 2020 that the rushing game is definitely what I think personally, the way this offense needs to be run is run it through those two guys, through Broussard and run it through Fontenot, who's coming back. And I think they're going to be solid. And also you have Assad Clay, who's a 4-star recruit from 2020. He's coming in as well. So you have really 3 top-tier running backs at your school. So I definitely see this Buffaloes team running wild all over some defenses this upcoming year. But let's talk about the offense, man, because, I mean, this is a team who I think, like you mentioned, the quarterback battles are going to be there. The running game is going to be top-notch, I think. So what do you think about the offense coming in 2021, my man?
Yeah, I think they're going to do well. Like I said, I like the wide receiving group of Dimitri Stanley, who led the team with 20 grabs and 17 yards of catch. And they got Levante Chenault. I think Chenault is how you say it. who was great in his limited time. They only had 6 games, so they have good depth at wide receivers, and they have good running game. They have a good passing game. I think should have a good passing game. I just love that competition. I think, you don't know what you got. That's number one.
Right.
But what you do know is that they're going to be going at it, and they're going to be competing. So, I do think that somebody will emerge out of that group, and I think it's going to be Stroud personally. But but like you said, the strength of this team is their running game. It always has been the running game. So I think they're going to run the ball. They're going to have to run the ball good, and they're going to have to do basically clock management with the run as well as with the mid-range passing game or even deep threats if they can. So all in all, I do like the offense. I think their offense is pretty deep, and I think the defense is just as deep as the offense. And I think if we look at the defense, you look at they have 9 starters coming back. And I tell you, when you have 9 starters coming back and you had a good team or you had a good year last year, that's always a great thing. They led the All Pac-12 in tackles. The pass rush was good. The ability to get behind the line was great. And they led the conference in third down stops. So when you have a defense that can do that and you got an offense that the only really true question you have is that your quarterback, not that that's a small question, that's a big question, but you have options. And when you have options, somebody should be able to come out of there and give you what you need to get this team rolling, Landon.
Yeah.
Landon.
All good, bro. I think this team, like you mentioned, they're solid all around, whether it's on offense or on defense. I think their defense has a lot of good pieces around it. You got Carson Wells, who had 16 tackles for losses last year in just 6 games. So we'll see what he can do now with a full season now. We'll see if he can improve some. You have defensive end Terrence Long, who's improved each year he's been at the program. You have safety Isaiah Lewis, who had a breakout year last year, honestly. Then you have Mekhi Blackman, Christian Gonzalez, who were in the corners. Man, this defense is not to be messed with, I think. With a solid attack on the offense and with a good defense, I think Colorado could have a pretty solid season, all in all. Because, they have a decent schedule. But I think that all in all, you have a good offense, you have a good defense. That's a good winning recipe, I think, for a good season.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. Also, I want to point out that, on that defensive side of the ball, you have Nate Landman, the all-star linebacker who led the team with 53 tackles after leading the 2019 defense with 114 tackles. So, I think with the linebacking core of this team, which I think is probably pretty much most of their main emphasis on their defense. They don't have Mustafa Johnson around anymore, so that kind of hurts them a little bit. But the line does have size and experience with 6'7", 285-pound junior and the big end back. So, but the pass rush has to come from somewhere on the outside. So the tackles have to use their size more. And the lack of production last year wasn't exactly too thrilling. But I do think the secondary has plenty of returning parts to complement that offensive line.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I just think overall this Buffalo team is a solid team through and through, whether it's on offense or defense or even special teams. So I think they're going to have a solid season. But, Jerry, let's look at their schedule now in 2021 because I see a few tough teams just off top of the list here, man. I see Texas A&M. I see USC, Arizona State, Minnesota. I see Oregon as well. So, they got a few tough teams they're facing this year. What do you think about their schedule, man? How do you think they're going to do?
Yeah, I have roughly the same ones you got. I had A&M, ASU, Oregon, USC, and I think you probably could throw Minnesota in there. So again, it's looking like an 8 and if they go the full 13 games, you're looking at probably 8-5, 7-6, 8-5, as realistic expectations for this team, which is not bad for Colorado. Especially, I think the biggest problem for me with this team, honestly, is just their quarterback. We just don't know who the quarterback is yet to give a really definitive answer in terms of who we think. I think once you get that down, you're going to be okay, and then you can get more of an accurate answer in terms of how well you think the team is going to do. I think the running back Jack Broussard is probably one of your biggest bright spots you're going to talk about in terms of offensive players. I like him. He's a red-shirted guy out of Boulder, and he's 5'9", 185, so he's not big, but he's tough.
Right.
He can handle the ball, with no problems. He won 156 carries in 6 games. at 895 yards and 5 scores. So, like I said, he's not a big guy, but he's a tough guy. And that's what I like. I like somebody who's tough. You know, like you look at some of the running backs, Emmitt Smith, a lot of those guys, they weren't big, but they were tough, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, you look at Walter Payton, not a big guy, but he was a tough guy. So you don't have to be big and like you don't have to be the Jerome Bettises of the world. You know, you can be, you know, the Walter Paytons or the Emmitt Smiths and actually be even better. So on the defensive side of the ball, I like Carson Wells Jr. I think he's going to do well. I think Nate Landman is the star of the defense and would be number 1 on this list, but he still has to get back from his Achilles heel injury. That's the only thing I think about the linebacking core is getting him back. What do you think, Logan?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can get him back fully healthy, I think this Buffalo's defense is going to be one to be reckoned with all in all, man. And with a tremendous rushing attack, I see this team getting anywhere from 7 to 9 wins this season. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a solid year. I expect them to get into a bowl game. Not quite the Pac-12 championship yet, but I think that they are going to get in a bowl game. They won one last year. They lost against Texas 23-55. So I think that, you know, I think they have the talent this year, Jay, to get into a bowl game and to even get a win in it this year. So I think this is definitely going to be a good step for the Colorado Buffaloes program. And we'll see what all they can come up with in 2021, man, because I'm expecting big things from this team. They got a good program, a good head coach, and we'll see how far it can take them this year. Well, hey, if you guys have enjoyed this content here this evening, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Whether you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitch, we surely appreciate all the likes, comments, and shares you guys have been doing for the last weeks, months, and even years on this show. Also, if you have not already, please go check out our podcast, available anywhere you listen to your podcast, such as Spotify, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. We're even available on Audible now with your Amazon account. So go check us out over there. Be sure to leave a review. And also, we got a bunch of great daily content, such as team previews, Legends interviews. We're going to have some great game previews coming up for you in just a little bit here on the show. Once football season gets a little bit closer, it's going to be a fun time here, man. So stay tuned with us at 100 Yards of Football, because we have a lot of great content coming to you guys very soon. Well, hey, for my co-host, Jay McLovin, thank you so much, my man, for coming on the program, talking some Colorado Buffaloes football. I've been your host, Logan Landers, and stay tuned because we got one more great team preview coming up for you in just a second.